like settles, because Godbro has gone through many different phases, but he's also been a player who like needs the meta to suit him. So maybe this is one of those metas where that happens. I know you like to play Diana. Do you feel like Diana really fits in this meta right now?
I really like Diana in this meta.
Okay, well, we'll see if that comes out. But as you already mentioned, a lot of strong picks and already got a bunch of bans coming out. There's the Rise you were just talking about. Lucian, we saw last game, very strong performance, and Quinn as well towards the mid lane. So actually putting a lot towards Godbro. That one good performance.
That one good performance
he had in the promotion tournament was on Quinn. So they saw that was like going to take that one away. And on the opposite side, Lissandra, Azir, and Trundle will be the bans coming out from Szef.
So a lot of strong mid laners taken off the bat. Trundle has been rising in popularity, as we've seen throughout the day. We can't forget Alfari's Trundle 2v1ing. It's like he didn't even notice that they were there. So really interesting stuff coming out from this Trundle pick recently. And given its rise in popularity, it's not that surprising that we are seeing it banned away.
Very, very true. And that's all the bans, but we have the first pick coming out from k1ck, which will be that Nidalee. So Nidalee never really went away. She got banned a bunch over the last couple of tournaments we've seen her in. Still super strong. I mean, not much else to say.
She did have a couple nerfs. Her damage on her Q has been ever so slightly reduced in her Cougar form. Yeah. So she... I thought that might put her a little bit out of contention, but from a lot of the challenger junglers that I've been speaking to, they all say no, she's still really good. Yeah. She's still super good at power farming. She has a lot of early game presence. Towards the late game, she doesn't really offer that much in team fights, but as long as you have good control of the early and mid, Nidalee's still a great pick.
I mean, that's never really been Nidalee, right? It's all about the spears, landing the javelins and stuff. But on the opposite side, Szef have picked up the Maokai and also the Kindred. Maokai hasn't really gone away in the recent meta, and neither did he in MSI. Just a lot of Maokai, a lot of Echo as well.
Yeah, and you can see with this comp already from Szef that they're developing a fantastic teamfight composition. You have the big AoE damage reduction from the Maokai, followed by the big damage reduction in AoE from the Kindred. So they're already setting up for these teamfights, and that's telling me that they're looking to play around these neutral objectives like the Rift Herald and like the new Dragons that we've been seeing a lot of contention over recently in the first few games.
Yeah, for sure. In the second and third game in particular. In the first game, the teams didn't realize it was like 6-10. They just like played a game of like 6-7 was just like, this is fine. And then like the following games, yeah, a lot of focus on the Dragons, a lot of focus on the Rift Herald, which actually did change the dynamics of those games. But next two pickups have been locked in. I will be the Poppy, who again is going to be sticking around in the top lane, and the Caitlyn. So seeing more Caitlyn nowadays after I think Stress was talking about Stixay, the American sniper in MSI, had some great performances, and it's just cool to see the champion again.
A little bit surprised that Echo has gone through the pick and ban phase so far. That could very well be a Poppy support.
True.
It could
if
still be down the bottom. Yeah, it could be. But it is more likely to go up into the top. Echo right now is ridiculous. Like, given the changes to AP items, you can build them a little bit more aggressive and still go heavy tank and have so much presence up in the top. But Truxlax may be showing a bit of limited champion pool right now. Sticking to the Poppy, you can still have a presence up against the Maokai. Yep. It is still a little bit of a wet noodle fight up in the top lane, but when you have this Caitlyn and you have the Nidalee, it does suggest that k1ck are working towards a siege style of composition.
Let's see if that is what they choose to pick up for the rest of their composition. Maybe a bit more of a front line, maybe another poke pick as well. It's hard to say fast. And looking at Szef's next two pickups, if I can speak English correctly, Ezreal and LeBlanc coming out. So another staple of Godbro in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. This is something that he used to bring up a lot during the Challenger Series, and he has had some phenomenal performances on it. So definitely just going back to something that he feels comfortable on, and given to a couple of people that I have spoken to and people around the office as well, we still feel that LeBlanc is a pretty strong pick right now. Yeah. She still has that impact. We saw a lot throughout MSI, and given the changes to items, it hasn't really affected her that much. We're going to likely see the Morellonomicon, the Abyssal Scepter, still very standard stuff that we used to see on her before.
That's true. I mean, we've seen a lot of the changes with the major items and also the majors, but it seems like the teams are kind of taking a while to adapt to those new picks, because they're also some of them are kind of gimmicky as well. Yeah. So stick to what works, stick to LeBlanc, stick to whatever we're going to see in the mid lane from Zico. Maybe he'll pick something new. We saw the Vladimir earlier today.
This could be good.
It could be. Maybe it's a Syndra. Syndra did receive some changes.
Yes, it is.
There we go. I was actually expecting to see that from Sebex earlier today, because he was a big Syndra player, but actually going to be going into the mid lane this time with Zico. But yeah, a bunch of changes on Syndra. We'll get into that a little bit later, as the Janna has also been picked up from k1ck.
So this is quite a nice composition coming out from K1ck. They have a fair amount of disengage available to them. They have nice poke from the Syndra as well. You have quite a lot of threat now that you get bonus balls available to you. And the
bonus balls always good.
The bonus balls always great. So on top of that, you have the Caitlyn paired up with the Janna. There's the disengage. There's the fantastic turret taking potential. And then you've got the front line in the form of Poppy. Now, Poppy not the best front line, but again, fantastic at disengaging. So you can see K1ck are going for this sort of go in, go out sort of strategy where they don't really want to commit to a hard team fight. They just want to take away your turrets and take away your objectives. Meanwhile, Szef on the other side, they do want to fight. They're looking for these mid-game spikes, and they're looking to force things around these neutral objectives with the LeBlanc, with the 2-item power spike with the Ezreal, and the solid front line that you have from this Maokai and the Kindred.
Very clear objectives from these compositions for sure as we get into the final pick, which is Nami. Is that actually locked in? That's amazing.
That is locked in.
Yeah, we haven't seen a Nami for a while, but we did see more people switch towards those range supports after MSI, and the NA meta, I guess, came out, and Korea kind of copied them, and EU was just like, well, okay. So now apparently we're picking up Nami, so that's cool to see.
Yes, SKT actually picking that one up in the final against CLG to counter out that Soraka. Now we do have to remember, changes to Grievous Wounds, now they reduce all healing.
Yeah.
So
not just healing.
If you go for that Grievous Wounds, it's going to affect the amount of sustain that you do have from the Nami. But still, what I do like about Nami, she does make weak laners a little bit stronger because of her E. It does give you that, it does proc from the Ezreal Q as well. So you do have a little bit more power, a little bit more presence with that combo. But it's mostly just to try and facilitate the long-range aggression that you do have from the Caitlyn Janna in that lane. So Nami, just trying to mitigate some of that poke that they'll have to deal with as you transition through the laning phase.
It'll be cool just to see the interactions, because as you mentioned, it was picked up against the Soraka in the finals, not the Janna. So again, it's just trying to mitigate some of that, because generally in that lane, if you have like a Janna Caitlyn, like what are you going to do? You shield the Caitlyn, then you can't hit it back unless she's going to outrange you. So maybe they can do something in that lane with the Ezreal Q. Other lanes as well, looking at Godbro's LeBlanc against Syndra actually now coming out. So how do you think like Syndra's going to come into this one, because she's had a bunch of changes as well?
Yes, Syndra has had a ton of changes, a bunch of stuff. We will get a little bit more specific once we're actually in game, but the matchup, a lot of people in the past used to pick Syndra into LeBlanc because people with really fast reaction times can get the ball stun to interrupt the dash in, the distortion, and then once you've done that, she's just a sitting duck. That LeBlanc can't do anything. You can stack up all those balls, and now you get way more balls. So I've seen people get up to 9 balls, and if you get hit in the face by 9 of those things, it hurts.
You're pretty dead.
It really hurts.
Can confirm. And in the jungle, LeChase as well. You were talking a lot about this player on the Nidalee, a fast, aggressive jungler, pretty much like the playstyle you were talking about. But we are now into game with K1ck Esports Club and Szef+6. I'll be calling him Szef this game. Is probably horrible pronunciation of the Polish lineup. I do apologize, but I'm British.
Yeah, that's the excuse for everything. Yeah. It solves all of your problems, so do quite like that. Right, so let's have this. Let's take this opportunity to talk about LeChase, because you brought it up, and I do like this because when we saw it in the finals of the Open Qualifier, the game that K1ck won, LeChase was on Nidalee. This guy in that one game went 6-0-8. This guy was living in the enemy jungle. He was always roaming around looking for picks with Zico, and on a Syndra, that's a perfect pick to facilitate that sort of aggression. So I would not be surprised to see that from LeChase once again. And given the nerfs to Kindred in the early game, and the fact that her Dance of Arrows now at level 1 has a 4-second cooldown with the Wolf's Frenzy available to you, this could enable LeChase to just be that much more aggressive in the early game. Yeah,
could see a lot of interaction around mid lane as well, because in that 2v2 you're not going to be as effective, as you said, with the Kindred. I have to see how the Syndra does as well. LeChase is going to be heading back into his jungle. Trucklax most likely going to help him. Have to see if like bot lane starts still going for these camps as well, because of the experience changes, the person who kills the camp now gets all of the experience. So it means only one person is going to be hitting level 2 at the same time, or faster, I should say, not at the same time with the ally.
Ooh, nice ward coming out from Szef to spot out the invade coming out from K1ck, but K1ck, realizing what Szef were doing, just say, oh, we're just going to take a bit of experience from your blue buff, and that's going to hurt your jungler. So nice play coming out from K1ck, and they shouldn't lose much farm off the back of this.
Yeah, interesting, and that will give them a little bit of extra experience as well from taking that blue buff Sentinel. So now into this bot lane. Going to be a lot of poking, I have to feel, in this bottom lane. Super is already trying to get up in the face of Kepe and Rux. Nard is just trying to find those auto attacks as he can, but yeah, the return damage, turns out that lane hurts quite a lot.
Yeah, it really does, especially when you take that headshot proc. This is the point of the Nami, though, is to try and mitigate some of this poke. Yeah. When you have poke, you want to try and match it up against sustain. You do have this wonderful little support triangle where, and sustain is really good against poke because there's they can't all in a sustained sort of lane, so there's it's just constantly back and forth, and it just gives that Ezreal a little bit more presence. As you can see, they're actually pushing the Caitlyn back.
I am very impressed by how aggressive Super Ace is being and also avoiding a lot of the damage from Caitlyn, because while he's focusing on hitting the Ezreal, he's going to be hitting Rooks at the same time, or trying to do as much as he can. Syncroft did manage to find his blue buff, and it was missing one Sentinel, so you saw that one happening. Unfortunately, his initial mark is on the top side of the map, so right now he'd like to go for that little Rift Scuttler, but it's on the other side, so he's going to be feeling a little bit sad about that.
It's going to be a sad wolf right now, as you're going to be losing out on that map, but not too much. So, as we're in the laning phase, let's talk about Syndra, because a bunch of changes happened to her. A lot of them happened to her passive in particular. So now, when you max her Q, no longer does it give you bonus damage. It actually just gives you, they stay there for longer. So now it gives you the ability to stack up those balls more, ready for your ultimate. The W now enables you, once it's max level, to pick up 3 balls total, which means that setting up that AoE stun is so much easier. So remember Faker back in the day, we saw him use the ultimate first and then follow up with the stun to get that massive AoE crowd control. You don't need to do that anymore. And look at how aggressive Zico is playing against this LeBlanc.
Oh, the distortion's already been used by Godbro, but he's going to catch LeChase on the vision from those minions. Good sidestep away from that quick orb. TP now coming in. And that's going to be completed by Nick, who immediately goes onto LeChase. Going to be knocking LeChase away back into his tower. The tether does not complete onto the Nidalee. And Godbro will back away. We also had Syncroft coming down just to assist. Now only just hitting level 4. That initial Sentinel that was stolen away from him meant he was 1 level down on LeChase just before they went for that trade. So now that's all happened. It's all evened out. Syncroft still manages to pick up his mark on the top sides of the map.
Don't know how much of a fan I am of that teleport. Now Nick is not going to have that much global pressure, but k1ck, he's in some serious pressure right now.
Yeah, he stuck around for a little too long, perhaps. Knocks Syncroft into the wall. LeChase is going to come into the top lane as well. He's got a flash look for the pounce, and Swipe comes across, but Nick is looking for the 1-on-2. He's out of mana. He's hunted down, and LeChase is looking for the kill, but takes down the minion instead. And Nick and Syncroft manage to get away with their lives.
Wow, very close stuff coming out from both teams. K1ck a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger. LeChase showing up, just wanted to try and scare off Szef. But Szef, they were just like, no, we're ready to fight this. We can turn this one around. Both Szef members had to use their flash to get out of that one. So you did see a bit of a trade. And now this means that LeChase could look for another potential gank up in the top lane. Nick, he doesn't have teleport. He's going to be forced back. And this is going to enable k1ck to build up a very early lead quickly on this Poppy.
That really hurt, actually. That was like 2 or 3 waves under that tower. And you could see Nick really wants to get at least in experience range. But he was being zoned away from Chase. Because if you take a javelin at the point, you're just straight up dead. Because he used the flash in the last engagement.
He's like, in mid, I got ganked all the time, and now I'm moved to top, and the same thing's happening. I can't go anywhere without any peace.
Yeah, maybe he just needs to become a jungler, and then he won't get camped.
Yeah,
but then he'll just get invaded by LeChase, and this is like, well, okay.
Unlucky Nick. Well, hopefully as the game progresses, he will be able to close that gap that has been created. But you have to remember that Maokai, it doesn't matter how far you fall behind, as long as you can get 1 or 2 items, you're always going to be relevant. You have that massive AoE damage reduction ultimate on you, and you're just contributing to your team in that way. So he's still going to be relevant in team fights, even if he does fall a bit behind. But Syncroft right now, he's looking for a potential play in the bottom lane. I don't know if he's really going to be able to find anything, as it looks like k1ck have set up a bit of a freeze.
Bit of a sneaky gank in the bot lane, but he's going to be backing away. In fact, he walks out of range of those minions as well, so not going to be denying any experience from that bottom lane. Nardius and Super Ace still putting down the pressure. Very slight CS lead, and a couple more minions heading that way of Nardius, so he will be a bit of gold ahead of k1ck, but nothing really to write home about. LeChase coming into the bot lane as well. Going to be level 5. And goes into that bush. Has not been spotted just yet. Has not been warded up by Szef. And there is a ward just off to the side, as you can see. Thank you, observers. And LeChase, he's going to be very patient about this. I'm not sure if he's going to get a gank off. I mean, the bot lane does not have easy-to-hit CC. Now he's going to be seen out by that ward. But he's got the razor sharp buff, so he's able to clear that one away and back off.
Now, if we check out in the middle lane, it looks like Sinkoff, recognizing that LeChase is in the bottom half of the map, could use this as an opportunity to get a bit of deep vision down, or maybe even look for a bit of a dive on a Truxlax.
Yeah, Nick's gonna just put a bit of damage onto Truxlax. I mean, you don't really get excited about a Maokai jumping on someone by himself. It's just like, well, he's gonna deal like 15% of their health bar, so have fun with that. Syncroft going to take away that one Gromp. LeChase still sticking around in the mid lane, but Nardius, he's chasing down K1ck in the bot lane. Super Ace is behind him, and the slows, and the extra movement speed. K1ck's kind of lining himself up for one last Mystic shot, but didn't have the cooldown on that one. LeChase looking for a Q. That's the unleashed power over to Godbro, but was not quite enough damage, not enough balls out. As you mentioned, you can get up to 9 now, so if you had all of those out, that may have been a kill.
Well, speaking of balls, k1ck certainly had a lot down in the bottom lane because he held on to all of his summoner spells when he was literally 1 hit away from death. So massive praise over to him, realizing that there was no way Nardius could go for the commitment. The cooldown from the W from Super A's was still up, so there was no reason for him to burn any summoner spell. Fantastic play and really good recognition of the situation that he was in.
Yeah, very nice to see in that bottom lane. Truxlax in the top lane, engaged onto Nick. LeChase is there to follow up, but Godbro, he's got a TP into the top lane. We didn't even mention the fact that LeBlanc was running TP this game versus Cinder, who's running the Ignite. So that time didn't really pay off dividends, but did manage to stop his ally from dying. So there's that.
I do like that teleport coming out from Godbro. He used it because he knew that Nick did not have flash available, and if Godbro didn't show up, then it's very likely that Nick would have lost his life. So great team play coming out from Godbro, saying, yo, dude, I've got your back, I'm here to support you. But the teleport also helps to set Godbro up for roaming around and setting up plays all over the map. Oh, Nick, he's looking for a play on a Truxlax.
Once again, Truxlax is pushing up,
flash.
And in previous days he has not gone down, but this time he may not be so lucky. Syncroft going to be following up. There's the first blood over to Kindred. LeChase going to throw out a cheeky javelin just to hit them on the way out, but nice setup on that gank in the top lane.
Yeah, beautiful setup. They realized that Truxlax had no flash, and this is thanks to Godbro using that teleport up into the top lane, forcing him to burn that, and that just easily set up for the Maokai and the Kindred to get that early kill up in the top lane. So first blood going over to Szef, and building themselves up a pretty healthy gold lead.
Yeah, good to see. This time LeChase was a little slow to the punch, being maybe outfought a little bit by Syncroft so far into this game. Let's take a look at some of the items now being picked up. Top lane, not so interesting, just the Balmy Cinders. Mid lane, going for that Negatron Cloak on Zico's. Maybe looking for an Abyssal Scepter, as per usual. Even before the changes, Abyssal Scepter was an amazing item for the mid laners.
It looks like we may also be going for an Abyssal Scepter on the side of Godbro as well, as he gets stunned up.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be the sigil landing. Syncroft over the wall. Unleashed power comes out once again. He's ticking down. Syncroft's going to have to use the ultimate to keep him alive. Going to get the heal on the back half as well. So that was what burnt. That was a flash and an ignite from Zico. And that was a flash from Syncroft because he had to actually jump on top of Godbro to use the Lamb's Respite.
But I would be happy with that if I was Szef, because when you have this super mobile LeBlanc available to you, you have so much more kill pressure when your opponent does not have that flash available. So fantastic coming up from Szef, and all across the map, Syncroft is really having a lot of pressure, which when we talk so much about LeChase in the early game, being that early aggressive jungler, looking to set up for these invades, getting this deep vision to help set his laners up for success, so far it has been Syncroft that has been coming out ahead in this jungle matchup.
I mean, so far they set everything up for LeChase as well, right? But every time he went for the gank, it just didn't pan out. And when Syncroft went for his own ganks, or even reaction ganks to LeChase being on a separate part of the map, they just kind of worked out better. Whether that was team play, whether that was Syncroft just being better, whether it was positioning, we'll just have to see as this series or this game goes on, and the rest of their games, of course, throughout this group stage. You have 5 days of group stage, so we've got a lot of games from all of these teams. So a lot of time for the players to prove themselves, but we do have a couple ones that obviously stand out. A lot of new faces as well as you get into this, because not only do we have some of the old players like Godbro, like NiQ, but you do have players like Syncroft and LeChase looking to stamp their mark on the challenger scene.
You can see right now the vision coming out from both sides. A lot of vision from Szef, focused around the top half of the map. They want to make sure that they control this Rift Herald because they don't want to give that buff away to Truxlax. He would have so much more pressure if he picked up that extra damage reduction and the extra boost of damage that Glimpse of the Void does provide. But look at the blue vision coming out from k1ck in the bottom half of the map. They want to make sure that they can control this Infernal Drake. So a lot of neutral objective control coming out from both sides right now.
That's such interesting prioritization, though, by the teams. Looking towards, one looking towards the Herald, one looking towards the Dragon. But in this game, there's not really like a stock split pusher compared to the previous games where we've seen like maybe like a Trundle or something like that, or like a Gnar, for example. Someone like Godbro could go for a split push, but remember the buff is only good when they're by themselves. With other people, not so good, even if you're a jungler, come gank. So that could be like a later game objective if Godbro goes off to a side lane, but really the Heralds maybe will go down in value depending on what the first dragon is. Rux and k1K is going to be chasing after Nardius. Good sidestep using the Arcane Shift there. Going to be chasing him down with the auto attacks and putting a bit more damage onto Super Rays as well. Misses the combo, and we'll have Chase coming into the bot lane as well. There's a banana coming away and clearing out the minion wave, so not going to get the push today. Did see Syncroft and NiQ just hovering around the top side of the map, securing another mark for Syncroft. I haven't actually tracked how many marks he has just into this game, but we can check that in a second.
So, looking at these plays right now, notice that K1ck putting a lot of pressure down in the bottom half of the map. I thought this was a great opportunity for Szef to actually pick up that Glimpse of the Void. They could have given it to Godbro. They could have set him up to be that split push threat as the game progressed. They decided not to take that opportunity. I think it was a missed opportunity. That was a very clean, easy objective to take. And because they didn't capitalize on the mispositioning of k1ck are going to get themselves the tier 1 turret in the bottom lane. They're going to pick themselves up the first Infernal Drake of the game. And they're going to get themselves 8% extra damage moving forward.
Interesting with the prioritization. I mean, that was the second Mark of the Kindred over to Syncroft, and actually it was both of those Rift Scuttlers as well, so RNG'd. But Infernal Dragon going over to k1ck at this stage in the game, in before 3, and they just get an absurd amount of AP and AZ.
24% additional damage.
Pretty crazy, but gank in the mid lane, nice use of E, but Syncroft's there as well to seal the deal. Unleash Powers is going to be sending it over to Maokai, but that is just a easy gank in the mid lane for Szef.
Beautiful setup from Szef. They knew that the flash was still unavailable from Zico after Syncroft's earlier gank. And because they both burned it at the same time, he knew exactly what the timer was. So beautiful plays coming out from Szef. They came in at all 3 angles, and this is what we were talking about in the mid lane. If you don't have your flash, and if you're on this low mobility Syndra, it is easy to shut you down and make a return gank. So Szef sitting on the kill lead right now, but the turret lead and objective lead sitting in favor of k1ck. So even though things are looking pretty back and forth, or the kills are going in favor of Szef, this game still feels very close.
It's interesting as well because you were talking in Champion Select about Szef and how they want to play out this game, looking more for those team fights versus k1ck, who are maybe looking to poke down their opponent first, dip in, dip out with their playstyle. And Szef with that extra gold going over to their carries, maybe they can make that dream a reality.
They may very well be able to, as they've now rotated their bottom lane up to the top because they want to keep this pressure up on these neutral objectives. They have that Janna Caitlyn, fantastic for taking these turrets away. Notice that Caitlyn is maxing her traps second to help facilitate setting up those sieges. So this is forcing Syncroft to hang around the top half of the map just to mitigate some of this pressure that k1ck and Rux are putting down.
Godbro back in the mid lane, putting some poke onto Zico. A lot in return as well. Those Dark Spheres are starting to mount up in power now that he's completed that Abyssal Scepter, but so has Godbro as well. Also with that Tome. And let's chase back into his jungle, seeing if he could do anything mid lane. Syncroft is also there, just in case.
So for those unaware, this is the new Tome. It is a pretty nifty item. It will likely build into the Morellonomicon, known as the Lost Chapter, and every time you level up, it restores 20% of your mana.
Over 3 seconds,
Over 3 seconds, so it's a pretty convenient item to have. It does give you a bit of extra mana as well as ability power, so nice early item to prioritize, and given that you already have some cooldown reduction from Abyssal Scepter now, Godbro doesn't need to prioritize the second Fiendish Codex, because he will have that early cooldown reduction. So things, again, still very even. As I said, that the gold is exactly even right now between the two teams as the teleport comes in.
Gonna be coming off to the side, the flash in to the W there, but Godbro's in hot pursuit. Rux just goes down. LeChase and Trucklax are there to follow up. Syncroft, he's a little bit separated from his team, but he's gonna find a way over the wall, and k1ck have realized this. Gonna be putting down some cover fire as they make their way out of this engagement. That was a quick kill over to Rux, or onto Rux, I should say, from Szef. They're trying to convert that into a top lane tower, but good rotation from k1ck will prevent that from happening.
So Szef doing exactly what they need to do with this composition. They realize that k1ck, they want to play around these objectives. They want to just set up a siege and split Szef up as much as possible. So Szef, using this double teleport, force the fight up in the top lane. They're basically telling k1ck, look, we're not going to give you an opportunity to set up any sieges onto these turrets. We're just going to fight you. We have a fantastic engage with the Maokai. We have the Nami ultimate as well, and easily sets up for a pick onto Rux, who even burnt his flash to no avail. So another kill going over in favor of Szef, and now they're going to be able to get a bit of damage down up and onto this tier 1 turret in the top lane.
I mean, it's more if they can convert it into something, because so far they've gotten, yeah, a bunch of kills, and generally the fights have gone their way, or at least the skirmishers have, but they haven't converted it into any towers, and yet again, somehow they push up the top lane, and Kick managed to rotate all the way from that last fight into this one. That's just Ignite going down, actually, by Rux, I think. I think he was thinking maybe they could get a little more from that engage under that top tower than the rest of the team thought.
So Kick trying to get something back. They have got a lot of damage down onto Szef, which is going to enable Kick to take away this second tier 1 turret in their favor, which is going to extend their objective lead. But have a look at Zico.
Oh, I feel like I've seen this one before. Returns with the Elite's power. Good defensive ultimate. Zico trying to stay in lane to see if he can do something. The flash after the Sigil of Malice will take him down. Nice 1-0 in mid lane.
Beautiful play from Godbro, knowing that he could get the damage down if he just used his ultimate. So he goes in for the flash, guarantees the damage, and even though Zico burnt his flash, it just was not enough to the damage that Godbro has in this early game.
Well, the faithful will be rewarded. Godbro coming up big in this game, Vedius. 3-0-0. But inevitably that will mean the following days he has not so stellar performances, because generally it's one good game in a series. But we'll see in this group stage. I really do feel like the meta has swung his way.
So I need to tell you something that you may not have known.
What's that, Vedius?
Have you ever experienced the LeBlanc curse?
No.
So... Oh, hang on a second.
This doesn't look like a curse to me. He's going to pick up another kill, Vedius. What were you going to say? Another kill over to Godbro.
So, the LeBlanc curse is, right, I am a mid laner, I play a lot of mid, and a lot of my friends are also mid laners, and we all love to play LeBlanc. Oh, hang on a second, k1ck.
Honestly, I don't feel like k1ck wants to be friends with any of these people. See ya, get out of here. I don't want to be friends with you. He's going to be wandering back into the bot lane and taking a trip back to base.
So, the LeBlanc curse, right? Basically, LeBlancs get fed all the time, but you come to the mid game, you're 9-0, and you're feeling pretty confident. You want to make plays all across the map because, hey, you're LeBlanc. You've got 9 kills, you've got a death cap, and you're looking swish as hell. So you want to try and get as many plays and kills as possible, and that ends up being your undoing, and that's where the curse comes in.
Well, I'll see if the swish plays off. As Syncroft comes in from the backlines, we'll find a first kill onto Rux. Zico is getting chased down by Godbro and company. That will be Super A's as well. Going to be trying to land the chains, not quite in range, but of course Nick's there to finish off the kill. Hopefully Arcane Smash auto attack will be the kill. 7 kills over to Szef. All of these been mounting up over the last couple minutes. Godbro going into that mirror image. Nick clearing this ward off to the side as well. 2-0, and Szef have really started to ramp up the momentum in this game.
So K1ck really not respecting their flanks right now. They really need to have better vision control around the possible avenues that Szef have to force these engagements. And have a look at this. Godbro just comes in from the front, forcing K1ck to feel overconfident, and that allows Syncroft to come in from the flank and get a lot of damage down. K1ck are really indecisive as to which target to focus, and that results in them splitting up, which sets up perfectly for Godbro and Nyx to get themselves a couple extra kills. Really impressive stuff coming out from Szef, demonstrating that they know how to play these fights, and if given the opportunity, they will take them.
Definitely taken them in this game so far, but they still haven't converted them into objectives.
No, they have not.
2 towers over to Kick so far in this game. That first Infernal Dragon went over as well. Now the next dragon is still live. And Szef, yes, they're picking up these kills. Yes, they're getting the gold onto their carries. I don't know what their options are in this game so far.
Well, it does look like they were trying to check out their options right there, as the gold lead still sits in the favor of Szef right now. They're contemplating what moves they do have available. We do have to look at their siege, which is relatively weak. You have quite a lot of wave clear available with the Caitlyn as well as the Syndra. And when you're setting up a siege against the Syndra, you have to be very wary of that possible stun. And oh, hang on a second. Bit of poke down.
Switch.
I want to keep an eye on what Zico is actually at. Yes, he is going to go for the W2 max, which means he's going to be trying to stack up as many balls as possible, as you like to do on Syndra, and keep a count on how many balls he gets off with that ultimate, because if he is allowed to, they could really pack a punch.
k1ck is going to be finding Maokai. Nothing really to talk about with that trade. But yeah, it's all about the balls in this game. Gotta agree with that one from Zico. And clearing away this ward. Perhaps Godbro is going to find the chase there with Syncroft. Constantly trying to make these plays. Constantly trying to make those kills and investment count. on this pick, because you've raised a valid point. You get into the mid game, you get into the late game, and LeBlanc continues to try and make plays, but if she falls behind that curve, which against this team could definitely happen, you have a lot of disengage coming out from rocks. k1ck is going to be just a tanky ball of stats that he can't kill. So it could get increasingly difficult throughout this game, especially if they don't start knocking down some towers.
The thing is for k1ck is they're actually playing their team composition really well, in the sense of they're rotating their bottom lane around the map. They're using this Caitlyn and this Janet to put a lot of damage down onto these turrets, and because there's not that much wave clear available on Szef with the LeBlanc and with the Ezreal, it's actually quite easy for k1ck to get these turrets down. The problem is Szef are not afraid to force these engagements. They're coming in from the sides. They're just basically telling k1ck, look, if you're going to overextend, then we're going to take this opportunity. So k1ck, what they need to do is they need to start using this poke that they have available to them. They have the items starting to come into fruition. You can see LeChase working towards that the Riley's Crystal Scepter, and once he has that completed, alongside the Morellonomicon on Zico, they have a lot more presence with this poke, and when they get that bit of damage down, then it's going to become easier for them to actually take these turrets, because Szef will be too low to force any fights.
That's true. We haven't really seen k1ck group up and try and use their compositions yet. Usually it's been Szef making the proactive move and making something happen. Mid tower's going to go down as well. Can't see the poke coming out. There's going to be the tower wave coming across, and instant flash from k1ck. Godbro in from the side, and a Malphite up from the north, but they couldn't get there in time. Syncroft's going to come around the backside.
He may very well be looking for something.
Defensive line of traps is up from the Caitlyn. The chase getting chased down. Nick is coming in for the engage, and k1ck just gets deleted with Nadia's coming in. k1ck, he's going to be knocking a couple members away from this fight. Nick is going to be tanking up the front line. He's going to re-engage onto k1ck, and now the rest of the damage comes in. Godbro not able to stick the landing with distortion, and k1ck will head on back.
Ooh, so Szef just demonstrating once again, yo, we're ready to fight, and we're going to take that opportunity if we see it. Now with the numbers advantage, they're going to take this opportunity to take down this turret, and that's going to equalize them in terms of objectives. So nice plays coming out from Szef, realizing that they need to start being a little bit more proactive with these turrets around the map and utilizing this mid-game power spike that they have hit. You can see Morellonomicon and Abyssal Scepter completed. 2 items completed as well for the Ezreal, and the Sunfire, as well as the cape completed for the Spectre's Cowl. That's the Badger completed for Nick up in the top lane. So cool stuff coming out from Szef. 8-0 right now, and they're looking to take themselves the Earthdrake.
I mean, definitely Nick has been a honey badger in this game. He's just going in all the time, just doesn't...
Is that what they do? Just go?
I guess so. They just go in. But they just don't care. I think that's the main thing from a honey badger. But I think that's the Earth Dragon that is currently up, and no one really cares about it. I think it's the Mountain Dragon. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Kind of lonely, and was just like, well, it's extra damage
it's
to
awesome though. It's
epic monsters, and up against towers as well. Turrets, you deal more damage. And
true damage as well.
True damage, yeah. So actually, it'd be really good for k1ck's composition, knocking down towers, or even Szef to allow them to convert their kills into these into towers.
Szef, this could be a great way to force a fight right now, because k1ck really value that dragon. It will help them take down these neutral objectives like the Baron and like the turrets, as you were saying. But on top of that, Szef really need it to take the Baron for themselves. You have a Kindred. Kindred's really great at taking Barons, as we know, and so if you pick up that dragon, it's just going to help that Baron taking potential, and this means that k1ck have to be so much more wary. They have to overextend just a little bit, and that's where Szef find the opportunities to take these fights. So,
oh, Nardius maybe getting caught out. Going to be receiving the ace in the hole. I think he used flash as well after he used his E. Godbro going to take up the top lane tower. And mid lane is currently being defended, but this means that k1ck do have the positioning on the dragon. Syncroft is also in the top side of the map, and they know he's there because he was taking the pink ward. And there is no teleport from Godbro, so this should be a very easy mountain dragon for k1ck to take. And so confident that k1ck just TP's back to base so we can deal with Godbro, who is still pushing. And hopefully that will allow k1ck to knock down a couple more towers. But they've only taken all of these outer turrets now, so taking those inner ones is going to be difficult in terms of finding a position. But once they get on top of them, they're probably going to die pretty quickly.
Well, have a look at this k1ck. They get themselves the Mountain Drake, which is supposed to help you take turrets, but it looks like Szef, with the positional advantage that they have, knowing exactly where the majority of the k1ck members are going to use this as an opportunity to get themselves a tier 2 turret up in the top lane. So nice rotational play coming out from Szef, and they're sitting in a very healthy cold lead right now. 5,000 in the lead, 8-0 0 in kills. But to me, this game still feels close because Szef really struggling to actually solidify their lead, have full control over the map. K1ck have a lot of presence, but Godbro wants to change that.
He's found k1ck, and so is the rest of his team. Should be able to knock him down. The NiQ has come in there. Zico coming in from the side. Syncroft dropping low as well. Not able to pop off the Lamb's Respite. He'll be going down for a 1-for-1 trade. And k1ck and Syncroft will lose their lives there. K1ck now pushing down the middle lane, and Szef are maybe looking to flank. Godbro is going to be recalling, however.
So without the Kindred right now, this is fantastic for K1ck to actually set up a play onto the mid, but have a look at the flank coming out from NiQ.
NiQ's coming in from the backsides, and honestly, K1ck only have one way to go, and that is down. The minion wave is evaporating. They just wanted another couple auto attacks on this tower. The Chase was looking for it, as it is so close to death. Nardius in with the slow. Godbro over the wall with the damage onto the Chase. NiQ coming in with engage onto Rux. The rest of the team is in hot pursuit. Now he's going to have to back off because they weren't quite as in range as he was hoping. So now they'll disengage back to their tower, which is very close to falling.
So this is how K1ck want to be playing their fights. Do a little bit of damage in, then disengage. Use your long range to just slowly poke down Szef and prevent them from actually getting that hard engagement off. And if they keep doing that, that is how they turn this game around. They've managed to actually get themselves a kill on the board. They did manage to shut down Syncroft in their own jungle as a result of Szef overstaying, being a little bit too over-aggressive. And this is the LeBlanc curse that I was talking about. You get a bunch of kills, you're 5-0-3, there's the death cap. You're starting to feel super confident, and that can result in you being a little bit too over-aggressive and making these plays that you can't afford to make.
And additionally, K1ck, remember they picked up that Infernal Dragon as the first dragon of the game. So in terms of combat stats, they're going to be slightly stronger than Szef in terms of the gold efficiency when they start picking up those items. k1ck, he goes back to base. NiQ, he burnt the flash as well, but it was in the last couple of frames of his recall, so he's going to be walking that off and going back into the mid lane. NiQ going to be feeling a little bad about that one.
He certainly is. His flash is down now. That's absolutely massive, setting up these TP flank engages. He got a little bit too greedy. Even if he had managed to land that binding down onto k1ck, I don't think he really would have had enough kill pressure. In fact, given that the Infinity Edge is completed alongside the Ruined Hurricane, k1ck may have been able to turn that one around. But we will unfortunately never know, and it results with NiQ throwing away his flash. So Szef, once again, over-aggressing, trying to make these plays all over the map. They need to put their foot on the pedal just a little bit. Oh, put their foot on the brake, sorry, not the pedal. They don't want to be...
accelerate even faster.
They want to be putting their foot on the brake. They need to chill out a little bit. They still have this fantastic mid-game spike that they can easily take advantage of. They just need to start playing around these neutral objectives. The Baron is a fantastic opportunity for them. The Dragon, not going to be spawning anytime soon, but that could be another point of contention they could look to fight over.
Syncroft, he's defending this pink ward with his... no, LeChase puts down the ward, takes it away. And rest in peace, pink ward. Nardius gets tagged up, and that's a flash from Zico. He was looking for the ultimate, the unleashed power. Even got the ignite down, but just didn't hit the R in time. That would have been a dead Nardius for sure. Had many of those balls
NiQ
on the field. NiQ coming in from the side. His team is now coming in. Zico, remember, he doesn't have the flash. He's going to return the damage onto Godbro, but he will be going down for the first kill of this fight. k1ck looking for the ultimate onto Godbro. Does not quite land. NiQ is still tanking up the backlines. Ruck is trying to zone away everyone from his carries. Syncroft jumps out of the circle, back into the circle to pick up a kill onto k1ck finally, as that will be a 2-4-1 to Szef in this fight.
So that was just an over-aggressive play coming out from Zico. He used his flash to try and get the pick down onto Nardius. Ended up paying for it. And speaking of picks, Nardius catching k1ck on the backside. He didn't have any of his summoner spells available. And now Szef, they could look for the Baron.
Godbro just TP'd back near to the Baron pit, so they should be able to start this one, clearing away that pink ward, or clearing away that normal ward with the pink ward. That makes sense. LeChase, he's only half health, but he does have the smite, so he has to pull off some crazy steal here, Velius, if he wants this one.
LeChase, if there was an opportunity for you to turn this game around and carry your team to Challenger, this is the play that you need to make. Can he do it? I don't think he's taking the grump. So he's decided that the grump is more valuable. I set him up for success.
I know,
so beautifully.
We both did. We went for it, Velius. We gave him everything we could do as a caster. But ultimately, he wanted the 100 gold from the grump.
All right,
and
so
Szef will pick away that Baron. But we can see the last fight once again.
So have a look at this. Zico, he goes for the flash. He has the damage to kill Nadius, isn't quite in range to get that unleashed power, and Nick is just like, hang on a second, I just did this, so now I'm going to punish you for the same mistake that should have happened to me. He just walks in, gets the binding down onto Zico. There's nothing that he can do, and even though he gets a lot of damage down onto Godbro, it doesn't matter, because he ends up getting picked off. That's a lot of Kick's damage unavailable. Nick is just sitting on the front line, tanking up 3 members, while all this poke is coming out from Nadius. When Trucksax comes in, things are looking a little bit dicey, but thanks to the Lamb's Respite, it gives Szef enough health to keep them going, and they end up trading 1-for-1 at the very end of that fight. But then k1K, he overextends, and we know how that fight ends. So it ends up being a 3-for-1 overall in favor of Szef, and demonstrating once again why they're so good at these team fights.
And this was the snipe coming out from Nadius just at the end of the fight when everyone thought it was over, but Nadius knew it was not. Super Ace, we haven't really spoken about him too much this game outside of the laning phase when he was putting down that pressure, but he's been doing really well. 0-0-8, flawless scoreline so far in this game. Now Szef are going to pick up this Air Drake. What's it? Air Drake, right?
It is the Air Drake.
Yeah, perfect. Fantastic.
It breathes air.
It does.
And it also makes you run really fast because you have more oxygen in your body.
Though. Not
out of combat.
in combat.
Yeah,
you lose that oxygen as well.
Well, when you're fighting, you've got to use that energy somewhere else.
True. That is very true.
When
I want to talk about Super Ace because I was going to talk about him and then I stopped because I was thinking about Air Dragons. But yeah, Super Ace, super good in this game. And in that last fight as well, perfect exhaust onto Trucksax as soon as he went onto Godbro when he went into his passive. So he couldn't even finalize the kill once Zico had popped the unleashed power. So yeah, Super Ace, maybe not on the front lines of the fight, making the big flashy plays, but he's always there and always making his actives count. And in lane,
notice how aggressive he was playing. He was not afraid of this long-range Caitlyn, always using that heal very aggressively to try and force that Caitlyn back. And Super Ace, definitely a name that we've heard around the Challenger Series for a while.
A long time.
Moving into this new team of Szef+6, along with Godbro and Nick. They're showing up pretty well in this first game.
Got him. Hit him with the ace in the hole. Honestly, didn't do as much damage as I thought it was going to. That is a lot of damage, however, from Godbro. He is level 16, so that is a level 3 Mimic versus the level 2 ace in the hole. Nick is going to flash after getting away from that stun. Now the rest of the team will collapse. Super Ace, he's bloodthirsty. He's going to pick up a kill. Trucksax, he also gets EC'd up as Syncroft comes in to try and pick up that kill alongside his Maokai. But the Maokai, he's walking into the tower. He's going to go down. And Godbro was looking for a kill. But Szef, they're going so deep. And k1ck going to find the capitalized kill. A double kill over to k1ck. And that will be a 2-1 trade. Honestly, that was just Szef delivering it to them on the silver platter.
It's almost like the LeBlanc curse is coming into its own.
I don't believe you just yet.
But this is, again, Nick feeling pretty confident on this Maokai. That was a really nice flash that he made, dodging the stun going out from Zico to set him up once again for the rest of his team to collapse. But notice that the turret was still alive, which actually divided Szef, which meant that all 5 members weren't in unison going for that dive, which resulted in Szef ending up giving away 2 kills to the side of k1ck, and the shutdown gold is something that they desperately need at this point in the game.
It's a little sad from Nick because he just kind of wandered into one tower and it was like, oh crap, this tower is still available as well, and just walked into that and died. So it's one of those times where you like go for an engage and just forget the objectives are still on the map and just end up dying. So felt a little bad from the tree. He was not a happy little tree in that play, for sure.
He certainly was not.
But 4-13 in this game. Szef definitely had the kill advantage and the gold advantage. They were able to convert some of those kills and skirmishes into objectives.
So we're approaching the 35. Oh, hang on, I'll get to that in a second. Have a look at this replay. Zico, really nice engage coming out from Szef. But have a look at this now. Watch how the team just kind of divides itself up. Super A's off on the back line. Nick continues to over-aggress for this kill. Nardis, because the turret is still there, forced to disengage. And then Godbro goes to the re-engage. So you can see a little bit of mismatch, deciding whether we should fight, whether we should not fight. And a little bit of weakness. Szef have shown really good team fighting throughout this game, and I feel like that's the one mistake. But hang on a second, Godbro.
He's walking the dog around, and Poppy going to be taking a little bit more damage. Godbro flashes after to try and land another leash. Syncroft's going to be chasing after the chase. He's going to be jumping away. Rook's now into the fray. Super Ace tosses out the tidal wave, and Syncroft, or rather Zico, trying to push away Nick as he TPs into this fight. So all of a sudden, we have everyone converging on that bottom lane tower. There's the ace in the hole. This time it's going to hurt a little bit more as the AD has been picked up by k1ck. Now, Nick up to the top side of this fight was trying to get an engage up, and now he's being chased down by the Caitlyn. Piltover's not going to land just on the way out. And no one ends up dying, but a lot of people took a fair beating. But ultimately, the push from Szef did not pan out for them.
No, it did not. So a lot of summoner spells invested into trying to make that play work for Szef. Notice that the flash is gone for Godbro. The teleport also used from NiQ. And that was quite a lot of investment for very little gain. Flash ends up going down on the side of k1ck as well as on the side of Rux. So you end up exchanging flashes across the board. It does enable Szef to get a little bit of deep vision down into k1ck's jungle, but nothing really gained off the back of that. But what you're starting to see is k1ck coming a little bit back into these team fights, showing a little bit more presence, realizing that as long as they can keep their distance, make sure that Godbro can't get into the fray as much as he would like, then they have a little bit more presence in these fights. So the one thing I do really want to note is moving back to the mid lane once again. Zico, he has picked up the Zhonya Hourglass. Yes, he needs it. He is that super mobile mid laner on that Syndra. When his flash is down, we've seen him heavily get punished for it. He's 1-5-1 right now. And while the Zhonya's is a necessity, remember that on this patch, the damage has been nerfed. It's no longer 100 ability power. It is only 70. You do get a bit of extra cooldown reduction, which is always valuable on Syndra. But because you don't have that same sort of oomph, you do have to wonder how much damage this Syndra is actually going to be able to do in these next few fights.
Yeah, needs more oomph, and Godbro over the wall, the shutdown, jumps over the wall right into the jaws of Zico, the LeBlanc. You should see Vedius right now, how happy he is with himself. That's the first death of the game, Vedius.
It happens all the time. I know so well. I've been fed so many times on LeBlanc, and like, I can get a pick here, I can do this. They have no vision of the brush. I can jump over the wall, get the kill. No, k1ck were ready for it. They were waiting for it to happen. They get the turnaround kill, and now they're setting up the siege onto Szef.
All right, learning on EUCS qualifiers, do not phase check at any stage in the game. It's never a good play, as Godbro just found out, unfortunately. Mid tower finally goes down. That was very low from the last push that they had in the mid lane, which was like 15 minutes ago. But the play, the entire cycle of that tower has now been complete. k1ck now onto the Baron, though.
Now remember the Mountain Drake. This will enable them to take it that much faster as k1ck tries to zone out Szef.
Here's the Tyler wave, and k1ck was going in with a hero charge, but that was interrupted. Syncroft, he's still kiting away. He's still alive. The Baron goes down over to k1ck. Now the ensuing fight will result in how much they can get from this one. NiQ is onto k1ck. Now the teleport can bring him from the bot side of the fight. Syncroft looks for the disengage, but Godbro, he wants to go back in, despite how the last team fight went. And LeChase is going to get caught up, but there's no real follow-up from Szef.
So, one over-aggressive play coming out from Godbro results in k1ck getting a tier 2 turret in the mid lane. They rotate around, they get themselves a Baron, and they actually come out alive with all 5 members off the back of a fight that Szef tried to force. k1ck may very well lose this Elder Dragon, but I think they can be damn happy about how that last exchange went.
Yeah, that went very well for them. As you mentioned, Elder Dragon now over to Szef, but it's not going to benefit them as much as picking up the Baron, because they didn't pick up all of those dragons before it, so they didn't set up that play for themselves. They prioritize other things, like trying to get that gold injection from those initial towers onto Godbro, and now they're really feeling the pinch of it. So k1ck may come back into this game. They're only 3,000 gold behind, and they have the momentum from that last fight.
So the big thing to know about the Elder Dragon is it only lasts 2 minutes to the 3.5 of Baron. So all k1ck have to do is be patient, use this fantastic disengage composition that they have available to them to just mitigate this Elder Dragon buff, and then the moment it disappears, that is when k1ck kick into action, and they start taking down these turrets. Notice that they've already set up position in the top lane. There is a big wave on the bottom that they might need to deal with relatively soon, but they're going to start pressuring onto this tier 2 turret.
This how it might as well be made of paper at this stage, and so will NiQ apparently, because he's going to get slammed into the wall as Ace in the hole coming across as well. Banana comes in onto k1ck, does not like his potassium. He'll be dropping very low there and back off, probably to base. And that was another tower, so k1ck really utilizing the Baron and everything else to pick up this game in terms of those dragons.
So k1ck's having to quickly back away because he realizes the massive minion wave down in the bottom lane. He can't afford to lose that farm. Nobody can. He's 0-3-5 right now. He wants to get as much gold as possible, as well as that experience. So they're actually going to hand it over to k1ck. Smart decision. But speaking back onto that siege up in the top lane, even with the Elder Dragon, Szef really paranoid about setting up a fight. So they decided not to go for it. The turret was already at about 50% health. They decided to just give it over to k1ck, and now have a look at the gold difference. It's only about 1.5k, and now k1ck are feeling so much more confident in this game.
Yeah, Zico going to be picking up his own blue buff there, 2-5-1, but that doesn't really tell the tale of how strong he is here, Vedius. The rest of Szef, while they still have that buff, it's not going to last for too much longer. It was only 2 minutes, as you just mentioned yourself. Looking for this flank. This might be last chance for Saloon for them to make something happen. And honestly, we didn't feel like it was going to be getting to this point, but they got slowed down by k1ck. And when you have a composition who wants to snowball, try and get these fights, then that's some of the problems you can get into, as you were mentioning very, very rightly so in the early game.
So have a look at this now. K1ck feeling so much more confident. They're setting up their deep vision in the top half of the map. They are 4 members strong, and now Szef, they were caught unawares. They're trying to back. This could be a great opportunity for K1ck to get down this tier 3 turret in the top.
They're going to look for it here.
TP.
Dropping very low. Here comes the TP just on that minion. So keeping that one alive. Nick looking for the engage here, but he's really looking for it. They may be just overcommitting. Malphite is down, really, before the rest of the team can capitalize. That is his Guardian Angel, but they're going to have to kill him once again. Syncroft into his ultimate. The chase being pushed back. A triple bubble out from Super Rays. Will that be the turning point? Doesn't look like it. Super Rays is getting chased down. Syncroft dropping. Kepe, he's looking for the third kill. That is a triple kill over to Caitlyn. Naughtiest looking for the return kill, but Zico unleashed power. He's going to finish him off. Godbro, he needs some side of miracle play, but won't find it. Everyone drops. Double kill over to Zico. Both carries clean up this mess. That's the Nexus turret going down, and with a turn of events, K1ck managed to take the game over Szef.
That was a fantastic game. We talked about how it was going to be a close game between both K1ck and Szef, both with powerhouse rosters, both with really interesting compositions, but it ended up being K1ck taking the comeback, and it was all because of one LeBlanc over-aggressive play. The LeBlanc curse is real, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be aware of it. Once you have that lead, you cannot afford to be too over-aggressive because it can cost you the game.
Yeah, I was a Godbro believer, but now I'm a LeBlanc curse believer because, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what happened in that game, and it was really down to that just face check over the wall.
Literally.
It's just like, oh, 5 people.
It gave away the Baron. The Baron was quickly taken thanks to the Infernal Drake that gave you the additional damage, as well as the Mountain Drake that gave you that extra bit of true damage. They quickly shut down that Baron while Truxax by himself was zoning off pretty much the entire lineup of Szef because it was the 5 versus 4. The teleport came in really late from Godbro, but even when it did, he still couldn't secure any kills. And then with that fantastic siege composition and a Baron and very little wave clear on the side of Szef, they pretty much set themselves up for disaster. So really impressive plays coming out from K1ck. They capitalized phenomenally, and they're going to take a 1-0 on the first day of Challenger.
I also feel like we got to see a lot of what this patch has to offer in terms of those dragons always being something people need to fight over.
Yeah.
Like something you mentioned mid-game videos was when both teams really needed to contest that dragon. Like K1ck needed it because of the composition to knock towers down. The opposing team needed it to stop them from taking it, and also if they get those fights to also capitalize on those skirmishes into the objectives. So it's really cool to see how the dynamic flows throughout this game, and it just results in a lot of fighting, which is fun to watch.
Now, the player that I really want to give a lot of credit to is the AD carry. He did play phenomenally well. His positioning was really good in team fights. He was always very aware. Other than that one pickoff, we can forget about that time he got picked off by the Ezreal.
Yeah,
but everything else was fantastic. He really needed to sit on the back line, use that Janna to keep him alive, and because of those plays, he was able to turn that game around for his team. So very impressive stuff from him. And LeChase, not the jungle sort of presence I was expecting, but still, he did what he needed to do, and he helped that AD carry succeed.
Yeah, well, one more point before we go, Vedius, is also that Syncroft was very impressive to me. Like,
he was.
The Chase was the guy we were looking at, but then Syncroft was dominating the jungle. He was dominating every lane that he went to, and had a big impact when we got into the team fights. But, yeah, we'll see if we can see more from him as we progress on the rest of the days.
I do want to say that Szef really showed their stuff this game as well. They looked like really strong contenders, and personally I feel that we did see 2 of the top contenders of this group
this was going to be a close
playing
game,
against each other. So keep an eye on these 2 teams, because I feel moving forward, these will be the teams to beat moving throughout the rest of Challenger qualifiers.
Yeah, me too, Vedius. But with another game locked down, we're going to jump to a quick, short break. So when we return, we'll be